Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Whilst we wait for our guests to join us, I do not own the copyrights to the music playing in the background, but I hope you are enjoying it. I am Patricia Jifamen Salakai, a communication and leadership coach, founder of Teresa's Horizon. And today we are bringing you this special edition to mark Father's Day. And I have in the background some music. So if you have joined, please kindly share the link, invite your friends and family, especially for those of you who, okay, have our guest in the studio with us. You are looking lovely, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you, Patricia. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be here and really talking about this subject.
That's great.
It's a special subject and it's a special day.
Exactly. And I am very honored to have you in our studios today. Can you hear me? Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, that's fantastic. Good. So you can hear the music in the background just whilst you were joining. And it was just sort of celebrating, being in the celebratory mood. And today is Father's Day. The whole world over, everybody is marking the day. Even right from this morning on social media, I could see a lot of people posting messages, photos, videos, etc., to mark the day in honor of one father figure or the other. And just to give our guests a little bit of information about you, I see somebody has joined us. Please, if you have joined us, welcome to the Teresa's Horizon chat room series. Today is a special edition. We are marking Father's Day celebration, and we have in our studios a wonderful lady. I have known her, I believe, for the past 10 years, for as long as I can remember. When I joined Toastmasters, I met Auntie Emefa, and today she is our guest in the studio. We are going to talk or have a chat on the topic, the sacredness of fatherhood. And I would like to give a brief introduction, and I will allow her to tell us more about herself. So, Ms. Emefa Gadze is a founding director of Single Parents Support Network. It's a non-profit support network that is dedicated to holistically serve single parents who are multipliers. And it has a global reach through online broadcasts. She is making her mark as a transformational speaker, a trainer, and facilitator at events and seminars. Prior to this, she had been in the corporate space for over 20 years. And I'll let her tell us more about that. Currently, she's pursuing a master's degree in international development administration. And this is a distance learning program that she's undertaking with the Andrews University in Michigan, USA. She holds a master's degree from the University of Cape Coast. And so, Auntie Emefa, I would want you to tell us from your own mouth a little bit more about you. Who is Emefa Gadze?
Well, I'm a very passionate person, very passionate about leadership and family issues because of how it affected me growing up and how I think naturally growing up, people gravitated towards me to discuss such issues. However young, I could meet a total stranger and the person will just start talking without me even asking about what's going on with them and their lives. And it went throughout my workplace, my colleagues, my bosses, everybody just gravitated towards me for solutions
Mm.
for leadership and personal and family issues. So that is just who I am. I'm happy to see people win in both
Mm.
private and professional spaces. And I also believe that for any community, any country, any society to develop, to progress, it needs to be very serious and strategic and intentional about
Mm.
the family system. Because if you are not intentional about family and how it affects the larger society, there's more that actually goes wrong and affects the society. Apart from the societal effects, there is also the economic effect as well.
Wonderful. And I know that you are also an executive life coach,
Yeah.
and you have been basically advocating for wholeness for quite some time now. And I believe
Yeah.
it stems from your own experiences. And so,
Yeah.
this is where I would like you to share with our viewers what you experienced, I mean, in brief, growing up and then
Okay.
transitioning
So
into adulthood. What were some of the experiences that sort of gave you the insights and knowledge for people to gravitate towards you naturally, even when you hadn't gained that professional certification? They naturally gravitated, towards you for advice and sort of use you as a sounding board. So
yes,
just tell us a little bit about those experiences because we are really interested.
I think naturally I'm an empath. It's what people call healer. I didn't know. I didn't
Mm-hmm,
know I was even walking in my as you say sphere of genius when um, people were gravitating towards me. I just noticed that friends, family, even elder siblings, elder people in the family, uncles, aunties, all gravitated towards me for solutions. That was all I saw. And so I just and because when you're an empath, what it means is that you are a naturally caring person. You care about people and what goes on in the lives of people. So I just walked in that naturally. And what actually shifted my focus to family and professional spaces is because in a lot of my conversations and a lot of what I observed, I realized that it was very easy to see people win in their professional um space, but when it comes to the private arena, they struggle. And
mm-hmm,
I realized that however successful people go, when the private life is not, the success in the private life is not as the success in the uh, professional life, the success is not complete. You know,
mm-hmm.
there is this
There's a
the
disconnect.
story is not complete. You see people that people we will be told, you know, um, per societal, I'll say rules,
Expectations of them. Mhm,
by measure of the society in which they live in, they are very successful,
mhm.
extremely successful.
Yeah.
But you realize that their private life is nothing to write home about. And
About.
another thing I observed also was that because we as a society we are prone to laud people who succeed in the professional spaces, they were more inclined to develop that to the neglect of the personal spaces. It was almost as if when it comes to this personal space,
Mhm,
you don't need to put in much effort to get the result. It should happen automatically. But when it comes to the professional space, they put in much effort. Look at how much schooling we do just to be in our career.
exactly. Mm,
You know, but
And
we don't.
isn't it amazing? The
Yes,
moment you touched on it, and it just brought my mind to something that we usually would say, that even
yes,
for the institution of marriage, you realize that
yes,
you get your certificate before you actually enter into the institution to
exactly,
start the process. And I believe
exactly.
that is sort of similar to what a lot of men or boys get, I mean, into, because there is no school or subject that actually prepares you for fatherhood.
Nothing, nothing.
Wow.
And in my personal experience, as you said, I would say I had an amazing dad. I'm a
Mm,
daddy's girl. I was very close to my dad.
mm.
Today has been a very emotional day for me because my dad has passed.
Makes
And
two of us.
so I just love the subject of fatherhood because I saw my dad struggle to be a great father,
Mm,
but made life-changing mistakes
mm,
because there is just no school
mhm.
for that. As a
That's-
minister of the gospel, you would think that he has that at his fingertips, but
mm,
it is not automatic like that. He was a great teacher. He was a great. He had gifts. He had gifts that transformed people's lives. I see people around, and I am able to tangibly point that
mm.
because of my father's influence, this
Influence.
person's life is being transformed, and and
Mm,
and, and this family is doing better. But when it came to his own family, he was clueless.
mm,
He was
mm,
totally clueless. And I saw the devastation that
mm,
had in our family. And I saw how, even towards the end of his life, you know, as you grow, you reflect on your life, the regrets and things. But
mm.
that generation was not too vocal in communicating their emotions properly.
Exactly.
Exactly. But I found a way, being daddy's girl, it was an up and down relationship.
Mm,
But I am so thankful it was like that because I was one of the children, because it wasn't just me, I was one of the children that forced him to face what was
mhm,
and what is, and have uh, like honest conversations. So towards the end, it was beautiful because we had authentic conversations. Some of where he accepted some of the things he did, apologized, we mended, we went on. So even in the midst of his mistakes, at the end of it, that's why I keep on. If you follow me for a long time on social media, I encourage men,
mhm,
no matter how much your mistakes, there is still time. Once you are alive and breathing,
mm.
just acknowledge
Yes.
and mend it because it is possible. I saw my father, and for those people who know women
Mm.
in that generation, it takes them a long time to say, I'm sorry. They won't say it. It's just not part. And I know it's not just
You're never.
women, it's that generation, but for our tribe, it's special, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
But he came to the point where he actually said he was sorry. And I
Mm.
looked at him and I imagined, wow, if all men had the
Do.
information that fatherhood is sacred and actually had the information of how to navigate
Yes.
fatherhood in their imperfection, because none of us is perfect. Mothers are celebrated not because we are perfect. Mothers are
Mm.
celebrated because we are present and show love in our imperfection. Yes, there are some mothers that are excesses, and some mothers are ridiculous in terms of how they mother. It's bad, bad, bad. But the
Mm.
majority of mothers are celebrated not because they are perfect, but it's
Exactly.
because They are present, and we have learned in our imperfection how
Mm.
to love our children right.
Wow. I
You know?
love the fact that you mentioned, you know, just having mothers show for their vulnerability. And so even in
Exactly,
their imperfections, they're still
exactly.
able to let those that they are mothering be aware that I am not perfect, but then I
Yes,
am present when I am present.
exactly,
And it will
exactly.
surprise you to note that even here in the UK, yesterday I just decided to walk through town, just shop window, going round, just having a look at a few things. And I couldn't see a lot of shops that were displaying Happy Father's Day or encouraging people to make purchases, etc. And that was surprising to me because before the lockdown, it was close to a week or two for mothers to be celebrated, and all the shops had gifts, designs, simply to attract shoppers in. And what can we attribute to that? Because now on our WhatsApp groups, we have men knocking on the doors and saying, look, ladies, everybody, we are reminding you 21st is Father's Day. What do you think contributes to that? The fact that Father's Day is not drummed home enough in terms of celebrating the day.
You know,
Where in Nigeria?
I find it very sad that men have to advocate to be celebrated.
Mm,
I find it very sad and actually ridiculous,
mm,
because if you are a great husband and father, I mean, for those who are girls and are close to their dads, with
mm,
my dad, even at the time that we were in the most disagreement, Father's Day was always special. That is why when it comes to Father's Day, I'm always emotional, because I remember how I would go to my dad with a present. When my son was a bit old, getting older, and he could read, I'll let him also pick a grandpa card and write his own words, and
mhm,
just make. Nobody told me to do that. It just came automatically. It was just something. Was my dad perfect? Hell no, he wasn't.
mm.
But there was just a connection from the beginning. We were very close from the beginning. In fact, I was closer to my dad, and I'm still struggling to get as much close to my mom as I was close to my dad.
Is that natural?
Because
Because I'm
how
also
you
a
love
daddy's
me.
girl.
Let me learn. My dad, maybe this I haven't said publicly before. My dad helped me with homework.
Hmm.
Yes, my dad helped me with homework. And I remember it very well. We
Yes.
never, I'm not from a very rich background, maybe average home. My dad made sure that we want for nothing in terms of physical things.
That's
You
it.
know, he, in his imperfections, made sure that we had a roof over our head, we had our fees paid until we fell out between me and him at 16. But growing up, so I don't know how it feels like to be two, three, four. Unfortunately, that is not the story of some of my younger siblings, because by the time I was 12, the relationship between my mom and dad went south. But
Mhm.
I remember he used to do things, and some of these things, sometimes I'm like, how did he even do that? Because he was this conservative preacher who believed that women shouldn't wear trousers and shorts. But for some
Mm.
reason, when he sent his material to the tailors to make trousers, he would the piece of the trousers, he would tell them to use it to make shorts for me.
Mhm.
So I grew up wearing the same material shorts. So it's a very, sometimes I think about it, I say, okay, so what really did he believe in? He said women should not wear men's clothes, but here was he making mini. So when he makes trousers, he will make the same material
Yes.
shorts for me. He used to take me alone out whenever that is why I remember the first time ever that I spoke at a full gospel prayer, Full Gospel Fellowship, I
Yes.
was emotional because it was full circle. I remember following my father to go on his
Go to them.
assignments,
Hmm.
so whether it was by intentional or it was looking back, maybe because of what was going on between my mom and him, he took me everywhere. In fact, I
Wow.
remember when I turned 13, I started dodging him because I didn't want to follow him everywhere again. So when I realized he starts saying that, oh, I need to go here and I'm on holidays, because then I went to boarding school at 12, 13.
Mhm.
I'm on holidays, and he'll be like, well, immediately I start hearing him looking for, where is my key? Like his car key. Where is
Yes,
my
to
key?
go out.
Because I don't want to follow him. It was that it was that serious. And he did little things like try to show us his childhood. And sometimes I wonder, I'm like, okay, did this man actually know? Because unfortunately for us, there was so much bad that it took us a while to recover and remember the good again. But I
Yes.
remember him bringing little creatures from the village to show us,
Mhm.
wanting to know us to know how he grew up. He made
Yes.
sure I remember, as I'm talking to you, it's like graphic in my eyes.
That
He will
I can
bring
imagine.
mangoes. So today, mangoes, the local ones, not the ones we do for exports. The small
Hmm.
look are my favorites, because he will have
Wow.
a basket full of mangoes. He will wash them himself. He will call us one by one and hand it to us. I remember him eating apples, and he will cut it and say, Emefa, come for a piece. So one apple, he will share it.
For
And I remember he
everyone.
bought me this big shirt that had "Love is sharing." So it was little things. He wasn't perfect, but I remember him sending me to school. I remember him being interested in my studies when I was doing my common entrance. He was my main learning partner, because
Yes.
he wake me up and I love my sleep. I love my sleep, absolutely. So he will come and say, the heights that great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night. I'm telling you, all of us know how to recite this.
Wow.
So even in his imperfections,
Yes.
he did things. So when it was Father's Day,
You didn't need reminders.
no, and his hugs are what I even miss the most now that he's gone. You
Yes.
understand me? So there is a way that
Hmm.
you will relate. We are not asking fathers to be perfect.
Yes.
There is nothing like a perfect human being. But when you
Hmm.
don't you don't you don't pay your child's school fees, the child is hungry
Hmm.
because you've left everything on the mother.
Yes.
The child sees you look after. There are some men who send all their resources outside of the house. I had a father who was generous, who looked after other people who were not necessarily his biological
Yes.
children.
Now,
But,
this is
but
not to catch you.
yeah,
We will move into that aspect in a few moments.
yeah,
But I have shared the link with you. And so
yeah,
if you have the phone with you, feel free to forward it to your network for them to join, because I want those who are watching us to share their experiences as well. What you
yeah,
remember most
yeah,
from your
yeah.
experiences with your fathers or the father
Exactly,
figures in your life. And as you
exactly.
post it in the comments, I would highlight it for other viewers to read or to sort of have that aha moment. Because today we want to celebrate fathers and tell the stories, the good, the bad, because we want them to understand that the celebration of Father's Day that seems to be on the low probably may be tied into some of the things that we are discussing today. And so
Yeah,
it would be essential for us to sort of share those little things that our fathers did that were so remarkable to us, and it has helped us to continue to sort of hold them in high esteem and help those who are watching, up and coming fathers, or those who are struggling right now, to sort of look at new ways that they can amend and be better. And I have in the studios with me Miss Emefa Gadze. She is an executive life coach, a trainer, a public speaker, a retreat director, and she has a special niche for supporting both men and women to attain wholeness. And we will come to that aspect of her life very shortly. She speaks out of experience and from the consciousness of the fact that the field that she is in is one that a lot of us do not want to embrace, but it is a part of humanity because when homes are broken and children are torn between staying with your father or staying with your mother, it has an effect not just on the personal development of the individuals involved, but on the society at large. And today we are touching this topic, the sacredness of fatherhood. We are going to celebrate the good things that fathers out there are doing through the experiences that we are sharing. And we are also going to touch on ways that other fathers can improve and better their lot so that when it's time for Father's Day, we don't need reminders. It would come automatically and naturally. So thank you for joining us, and please share to invite your network to join us. Post your comment if you have questions or if you want to pay tribute to your own father figures. Please feel free to do that, and we will highlight it as we go along. So now to the other part of it, and I hope Emefa, you have your glass with. I've got my orange juice here. I hope you got yours because we'll be toasting. We'll be toasting to fat. Yes, don't worry about it. We'll be toasting in a minute. But I want you to also talk a bit more about your retreats and what you do during the retreats. So you can touch on the results of having an absentee father, what it does to the family, what it does to the individuals that get affected, the society at large, and the support that you give. So I'll give you the stage now to touch on those.
Okay, so I would like to talk about why fatherhood is sacred.
Exactly.
Why fatherhood is sacred. Sacredness is something that is holy, is set aside. You don't misuse it. You don't misuse something that is sacred. For instance, for those of us who haven't worshipped in the conservative churches or the Orthodox churches, we call it, the Catholics, the Presbyterian and Anglican and all that, we have vessels, and even for the rest of us, we have vessels that we use to serve communion. That vessel, you don't use it for every other thing. You don't use it to drink your juice. You don't use it to drink beer or anything like that. It is set aside for the purpose of having communion. So because we revere it as something holy and set aside for God. And that is how I see fatherhood, and I think fatherhood is. And I think that when, as men or as societies, we see how very sacred the importance of fatherhood, we'll be intentional at creating spaces and programs and activities in our communities, in our families, in our churches, in our places of worship, in our schools, to make sure that the kind of fathers that we need for our societies to thrive are actually cultivated, because great fatherhood does not happen by accident. For those
Exactly.
who are great fathers, it is either they saw an example, a good example of a great father. I had a young man who was married at the time, I think 2 weeks married, and we're having a conversation. And actually the young man is my cousin. my uncle's son, one of my uncle's son, and he was like, if I could be half the person, half the husband and father my father is to my mother, I would have made it. And I knew what he was talking about because I know that my uncle, he's phenomenal. You know, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. And he intentionally was like that. Self-leadership is very
Okay.
important.
Because I was
Self,
going to say, touch on the specifics, for instance, of the things
exactly.
that you said or saw
Self-leadership.
into.
Exactly. Self-leadership. And it's not all up to the male population to do that. It has to be, of course, a lot of effort is needed from the male population, but it has to be systemic changes. You know, churches have to be intentional because religion is so big here. Churches have to be intentional at raising young boys, very young. There should be programs like my good friend Ethel
It's
has
doing.
this program for boys mentoring, mentorship programs for fatherless children, and also even children who live in two-parent homes, but they are not seeing any good example because the father is there but is absent. So they really do not know that there are men who come out of two-parent homes but don't know how to be fathers. So if we are intentional, mentoring programs for men, mentoring programs for husbands, newlyweds, I believe a great mentor of mine of blessed memory mentioned that he believes that it is good for marriages to have mentors. And I totally get it because where is the training for that? 6 months, 6 months counseling is not enough for a successful marriage.
Knowledge and
It is
awareness.
important that you take the opportunity or you take the initiative to further educate yourself. There are books out there. So when the community intentionally engages, you know, like we are seeing, I'm seeing at least Ethel is doing something. There is the Kevin Annan. There are other people who slowly the message is getting there, but it is not fast enough
Yes.
because the
And
detriment of yes, go ahead.
yeah. And I was going to say that could it be that, just like we are doing now, because the Princess Horizon platform is to encourage us to come out and share our stories, our struggles, the ways and means we were able to overcome those challenges, those hurdles, to focus on our God-given purpose and to achieve them, and to help people understand that different people with different goals can work individually as well as collectively, and together we make our society better. So it is important for someone who has experienced challenges with either two-parent home or single-parent homes and lacked the presence of fathers and its effects in their lives, can use that as a channel to advocate for others to do better. Because we all know that when you know better, that is when you're able to do better.
Yeah,
So,
I actually felt the two sides, you
mm,
know, because my father at a point, now I look back and I realize it was pain. And that is why I advocate that when you are going through a divorce or a difficult situation, another thing is we tell men they can't cry.
that is the thing. They,
So
they
the
don't show the
emotional
emotion.
well-being of men have been given to them to handle by themselves. Some way, somehow, it is as if I wrote an article about this, I think 2 or 3 years ago, before Father's Day. I talked about how men, for some reason, boys are not taught. When you're a woman, a young girl, they teach you how to be a woman. They teach you how to be a mother. You are taught how to be a wife. Who
Mm,
teaches boys, young men, how to be husbands? Who? You know, it's like we allow them, boys will be boys, and then they get married or they get into a relationship, a child comes, and then overnight we expect that
he knows
they'll
everything.
exactly they'll become these amazing men, and husbands and fathers. No, it is not. And even for those who never had father figures, who are now fantastic fathers, it was intentional. They had
Mm.
to school themselves. They had to look for father figures, even as adult men, as mentors. They had to look for books to read, go for training programs, make mistakes, get themselves back up, be ready to be vulnerable,
Yes.
therapy for your emotional health, your psychological health, your spiritual health,
Mm.
because it takes a lot to be a present parent. And you
That's
can't do it.
true.
Yes, it
And
takes a lot to
even
be a
for us,
present parent. Yes,
even
you
even for us, you realize
yes,
that we face the same challenge because you
yes,
you you are on a daily basis trying
yes,
to balance. And
yes,
before we started, you realize that behind the scenes, I had to ensure and say, kids, please be downstairs for this
yes,
moment. So
yes.
is it that we are putting too much pressure as a society? Is it that we're expecting too much from fathers? Is that also the issue? And so they have sort of realized they feel overburdened and they sort of let go and decide that I just can't do it. As a society, are we putting too much pressure on fathers?
I think I have three points for that as an
Mm-hmm.
answer. The first thing is that we want to reap where we haven't sown.
Hmm. We want to reap where
That
we
was
have
my
not.
first point. Who
Mm-hmm.
is raising fathers?
Mm-hmm.
Who is raising
Mothers.
fathers? That's and then number two, there's a total lack of accountability.
Hmm.
Total when it comes to
As a
men,
society.
there's this boys club. Thankfully, it's crumbling. And so when I see them advocating for Father's Day, I'm like, how can 70% of you be irresponsible? And you think that there's so what I'm saying is that if you are a great father and you are celebrated in your home, in your community, be thankful for it.
Yes.
Because it is very unrealistic to, and when I say that we haven't sown
We
where
want
we
to
want,
reap where they have not
I'm not
sowed.
talking about women alone. No. I'm talking about both men and women
And
in the
women.
society, in the broader sense. How many men, how many good men are mentoring young boys and other men?
Mm.
You go about advocating to be celebrated. You are not doing anything to disrupt the process. Yes, you are a good man. You are a great husband. You are a great father to your family, and that's it.
Mm.
What initiatives have you set in place in your own family, in your workplace,
Mm.
in your church, in your community to make
Yeah.
sure that young boys grow up better than the men we are seeing today? What initiatives have you put in place?
So, so,
Do you
so, now,
understand
so
that
now this is a
to
challenge.
be celebrated will not work if majority of you are not present and it's just you alone that is in your kingdom, in your home.
Click. Mm-hmm.
It's fantastic. Be celebrated, whatever. But that celebration will be limited to your home.
Mm.
It will not
If
go
it's
far.
not
The
extended
only way
outdoor.
it will go far if men break that boys club, start calling
Mm.
each other up. Look, you have left the woman, or the woman has left you, but the
Mm.
children are with him. Have you checked on them? Have you
Mm.
sent money? The woman doesn't respect me. It doesn't matter. It's not about the woman. It's about the children. Have you
Mm.
paid them? When was the last time you saw them? Do you know where they sleep? When was the
That's
last
right.
time you took them out? When was the
Mm.
last time you spent time with them? The men should start calling each other up. But you can't look, we are having problems with rape in
Yes.
our,
And with
in our society,
and
in the
Emefa,
country.
before you even touch on the rape aspect, we're going to come to that. You remember during this week, I sent you a post from LinkedIn, and this father was noting on LinkedIn, and we all know LinkedIn as a platform that is for professionals to sort of talk about their professional aspirations and what they're doing, etc. And he noted in the headline that this is what you will not find on my CV. This is not what you will not find on my CV. And he had taken this beautiful picture together with his three sons. I simply loved the message that he had put there. And in my commendation and congratulating message, I made sure to say thanks as well to their mom, because I'm sure she definitely played a part, because he was also celebrating their wedding anniversary. And it was interesting to note that over 21,000 comments, positive comments, both celebrating it, liking it, and commenting. Over 21,000 comments. And even on a professional achievement, sometimes people wouldn't even get 10 comments on such a post. So that really says a lot, that we are looking at ourselves as a society, promoting our qualifications, promoting our achievements, and thinking very little of the family and the strides we are making in that aspect. So, what would you tell our viewers or those who will be watching the replay? Okay, in terms of the specifics, what are the dangers of having a father figure in your life, but who seems absent? And here we're not even referring to those in divorce homes, but even those in the marital home who seem to be absent.
There is no direction. Your
Mm-hmm.
children don't feel loved because children spell love as presence, time.
Mm-hmm.
Children, time is love. There's a reason why children love their grandmothers. You know,
Mm.
grandmothers have all the time in the world. They've
Mm-hmm.
made all their mistakes with us.
Yeah,
So when it came to the grandchildren,
they
they have
dote on
all
them.
the, and even grandfathers. My father was a fantastic grandfather.
I'll
You
check
know,
it
it was
out.
interesting to see him be a grandpa to his grandchildren. It was an interesting thing to see. So
Mm-hmm.
it is time. When you make time, some get upset that they are the ones who provide the money and all that. That is why you need balance.
Yes.
In human beings, we are body, soul, and spirit, and you have different parts of you that make you complete. And as the family side, the family man is not just an ATM. You know,
Mm.
that was the third point I wanted to say. We've made our men ATM. You know,
Mm-hmm. We only
so
go there for the money.
for generations, it's a toxic. When you say you provide, provision goes beyond money.
Just a physical cash and mhm.
Exactly. So if you we and we cannot overcome what we will not confront. Let me tell you something. We are human beings. Human
Mm.
beings love love.
Mm-hmm.
We just love love. So on social media, the people with the biggest following are the ones who talk
Mm.
about love. You know, we love love. We love beautiful connections. We love family. We love it
Yes.
when people are great parents. We love all that. But we don't want to, we just love it, give it lip service. But there is more. For instance, for organizations, if an organization sees fatherhood as sacred,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have to be lobbied to give paternity leave. Do you understand
That's
me?
it.
Because
That's
they'll
it.
see themselves, because every stakeholder is important. The corporate world, the world of
Mm.
work is important in promoting a healthy fatherhood. They will
That's
not bug their executives with so much work.
what.
Look at what COVID has taught us. COVID has taught us that we can work from anywhere.
Hope.
Organizations have put so much pressure on executives, so much so that most of these people don't make time because of insane targets that needs to be met. You know, I've had conversations with men. They'll tell you that sometimes even their own children don't know them.
Mm.
Fathers, yes, and how they had to be intentional at connecting to their children. Why? Because of the pressures of work. So every stakeholder has a role to play. It is not something that we can do in neglect of the other arm. It's like we are a whole body. Every
Yes.
society, families, traditional society, religious aspect, the
Body. Yeah.
judiciary, the world of work. We have to have legislation, and we have to have a social protection. We
Yes.
have to have total protection systems put in place to help families to thrive. You
Mm.
understand me? There can be training program. We will not solve problems we don't want to confront. When I started talking about fatherhood, people were so upset with me
Mm.
because we want to gloss over it. We want to
Mm.
pretend all fathers are doing their best. All fathers are not doing their best. And that is a
Mm.
fact. So when we
Mm.
face the fact, then we can ask ourselves, what do we do to make it better? So for
That's
those men who are willing to do better and even they are grown, there could be programs for them. Right now, if a man wants to do better, where is the program? That is
mm.
where I come in. I run a program like that
Yeah. So
for,
here I
for
want you to talk about the retreat as well
yes.
because of
So,
time. So
I have different types of retreats.
mhm.
My retreats for now are for women. I have the flagship retreat, which is twice a year,
Mhm.
um, for busy Christian women who are not able to actually pause and refresh and reflect on what needs to be done. And then I also facilitate on-demand retreats, whether it's a one-on-one retreat or it's a group retreat.
So a church, for
Girls,
instance, a church,
yes,
for instance, can have their women's group or
a
men's
women's
group.
group.
Mm.
Yes. So for church situations, it can be mixed.
Okay. So you can
You
have a
know,
couples retreat.
exactly. Couples retreats, all those things, I do it. And there's another thing I do that is for freshly divorced people, because there's a
Yeah.
certain kind of pain
Mm.
that they go through,
Yes.
that you need to walk them through that process to get to a place of healing and wholeness, so that
That's
they
right.
can thrive again. And it's also for both gender. The,
Yes.
the, the one for divorce, I call it divorce with grace, is part of the divorce with grace program, which
Mm.
helps you, because the bottom line is, whether you are together or not, it is possible for your family to thrive. Because
That's
all these beautiful things that I experienced with my dad fell apart when I turned 16.
mm.
It
When
became
you
like
became
this
aware
deep
of
dark,
yourself.
exactly. It became
Mm.
like this deep dark hole because my mother was not no more in the house. It
Mm.
became very chaotic very quickly, and it took just grace to be able to start salvaging it from my late 20s, and we were able to solidify something in my
Before.
30s, and that is how we were able to come to a place of healing. But it was turbulent. It was very
Mm.
turbulent, and it needn't have been like that if
Exactly.
there was proper information to
That's
help
right.
people who are going through this. Because when you don't have a father, for women, what I credit my confidence to God, my
Mm-hmm.
personality, but largely to my dad.
Yes. Yes.
Even
Yeah.
I'm happy I got to enjoy him much more younger, you know. So me right now, you can't tell me nothing. My
Yeah.
dad thinks I'm hip, and
Yes.
that's it. I
Here.
don't care what any other person says.
And it's good you have brought that in. We are going to we'll take a little pause and pay tribute. We're going to propose a toast, pay tribute to our fathers, and we know that especially in this time.
I'll be
All
back.
right. Okay, sure. So thank you for those who have joined us, our viewers online who have joined us. Please, I've got my juice here. You can grab your glass of water, etc. Wherever you are, we want to propose a toast to fathers and father figures in our lives. When it comes to, whilst we wait for our guest to join us with her glass, I just wanted to share more insights on why we wanted to mark this day, the sacredness of fatherhood. Even for those of us who are Christians, we realize that there is a lot that depends on the roles that father figures play in the lives of the children. And the Bible tells us a lot about the importance of even having the blessing of your father, having the blessing of our fathers. We remember how Isaac blessed his children. Abraham did the same. There is so much that is put on fathers. Fathers are seen as the high priest of the house. And most of the time, we find both children and then members of the society struggling when fathers are not present. And we heard Auntie Emefa touch on the fact that you can be present and be absent if you are not spending quality time with the children. I had a very, my father was a military man in and out. Sometimes for over a year, they'll be out on duty tour. But for as far as I can remember, it seemed as if he was never away. Because even from the days where we didn't have the telephones, he would shadow calls at a place we call the signals regiment. They would come and call us. Our mom would get us ready. Within a space of some few hours, you would rush quickly to the point where the call will come. We will speak to him. He would ask you, when I'm coming back from the duty tour, what do you want me to get for you? And you see, those are things that children will remember for years. Children will
Yes.
remember for years. I remember my dad, as you just said, he would help with the homework. Today we hear a lot of, comments from some circles where people want to put all the work on the moms. So moms are expected to be the ones helping kids with the homework. Moms are supposed to be the ones taking care of the kids and everything. But we need it to be a collective effort. We need it to be a collective effort so that there will be balance and the children would learn quickly, especially the young ones coming, will learn quickly how to be great fathers for the society to be whole. And so we are raising our glasses to propose
Yeah.
this toast to our fathers and the father figures in our lives.
Yes.
We know that this is an institution similar to that of marriage, where we do not get enough training on how best to serve and lead as fathers. However, when the burden is placed on your shoulders, you have support. We have the opportunity to learn from those who have gotten to that place of self awareness, to understand what is wrong and what is right, to understand in retrospect the mistakes that they made in their own lives, of which they are amending their ways. And so we are encouraging all fathers and father figures to continue to show their love and support so that we nurture and raise a society that is whole, a society that thrives. And as Auntie Emefa mentioned, even for those who are married, it gets to a time that you realize the union is struggling and it's affecting future generations. Even in those instances when there's separation or divorce, there can still be a balance and there can still be wholeness if we go through the right counseling, the right training, the right coaching, the right mentoring systems to overcome the hurt and the bitterness so that it is not passed on. So, today being Father's Day, we honor the fathers that are doing so many things to be present when they are present. And to those that are struggling, we are encouraging you to seek help, find support, join groups, be intentional about looking out for good role models that you can model after so that the generation that is ahead will be much better than the one that has passed. We all had disciplinarians. Today, I posted on my platform, I am coming from 3 generations of military men. You can imagine, you would get the carrot and the stick approach. But my father would always say to us, I have made this home a democratic space. Everybody can speak their mind. And I believe it has contributed to how we have grown into adults and the way we express ourselves and how we are nurturing our children. But we can all do better. There are a lot of things I do as a mom that it's not balanced because I am in the moment of building the business, building the brand. It is obviously
It's not
taking
easy.
away from the kids.
It's not easy being a family person
Exactly.
and trying to build a business. It's not easy.
And I am conscious of that. And so
Yeah,
every time I know that there is a time for everything, there is a time
yeah.
where I need to put in as much effort to make amends over there as well. So we are just saying be conscious, be aware, find support. But in all this, we celebrate you as fathers and we say, Happy Father's Day.
Happy
Cheers.
Father's Day to all amazing fathers
All
out there.
amazing
You
fathers.
rock.
This
You
is
rock.
to this is to for you to find more support,
Yes,
express your emotions, all your vulnerabilities, get help, and then we together will thrive.
yes. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much. We will check if there are any comments from our viewers online right now. No comments. Okay. Yes. So we have Patience on the line. She says she loves your headgear.
Thank you, Precious.
And we will be coming on the show soon as well. And you have a lot of things that you can work together on. So once again, thank you so much, Auntie Emefa, for honoring my invitation at such a short notice to mark this very special day because of the sort of passion you have in creating and building wholeness, especially in this field. I celebrate your work, and in fact, I do
Thank
follow
you.
as much as I can on your
Thank
live
you.
feed. And I would
Thank
encourage
you.
all our viewers and those who will be watching the replay to follow Coach Emefa Gadze. You would learn so much from her, and it would help you, especially overcome the pain, the hurt, and all the negative emotions that comes from being in situations that are unfavorable, especially with families. And that would translate into how we move into our corporate organizations, how we work with others, and then how the society at large feels the effects of these ripples. So once again, thank you for joining us in the
It's a
person. So I
pleasure. It's a
and we
pleasure.
will sign off at this point. I would encourage everyone, please continue to follow us on Facebook, like the YouTube channel because the video will be placed there as well. You will have all the chance to watch it again and simply listen to all that we have shared. We appreciate our fathers. We appreciate all that they're doing. We are asking organizations, groups, church groups, religious groups, etc., to also do a lot more to mentor men, especially in the areas of how they can thrive and survive the institution of fatherhood, because it is such a very much needed institution that needs to be strengthened and the foundations made stronger so that it can hold. Because if the foundations are destroyed, then as we know, what can the rest of us do? Thank you so much. And this is where we draw the curtains for today. Happy Father's Day to all our fathers. To those who are departed, we are urgent, we are praying for their souls to continue to rest in peace. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. We look forward to having you again. Yes.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Tabasum, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yes, thank you for joining us. Great. Thank you all for joining. We are so grateful. We'll sign off here now. Bye.
Bye.